tough decisions.
And that's really the balancing act that this council's going to have to deliver in 2 weeks' time.
Calgary's new city council looks at ways to save taxpayers some money. Measles making a comeback. An international health authority with a failing grade for Canada. And family road trip.
We figured it was the last time we're probably ever going to convince him to go on a road trip with his mother and father.
Singer-songwriter Alan Doyle on rediscovering Newfoundland and Labrador.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. Calgary's mayor wants to cut the proposed property tax hike in half, and council will have to have 2 weeks to figure out how. Jordan Canagan is in City Hall, and Jordan, the New Look Council got its first look at next year's budget.
Just weeks into their new job, and Calgary Council jumped right into budget adjustments, and they will work the next couple of weeks to try to figure out any possible changes before making a final determination for next year's budget. What is on the table right now is nearly $300 million in new spending, and what is proposed is a 5.4% jump for residential properties and a 1.3% increase on the non-residential side. But Mayor Jeremy Farkas is confident his council, full of new faces, can find savings to cut that proposed hike in half. He says they will work hard to find efficiencies.
We need to look at ways that we can make Calgary cost-effective, not just from the business side, but also affordable for residences. And that's really the balancing act that this council's going to have to deliver in 2 weeks' time.
Now, one suggestion to bring down that tax increase is to revisit the property tax shift from non-residential to residential properties. That's the tax burden split between homes and businesses. Now, council will take the next couple of weeks to speak to Calgarians about these proposed changes. They'll come back the week of November 24th to propose some of those budget changes before making the final decision by the end of the month. Ian?
Jordan, thanks very much. Canada's Public Health Agency says the country has now officially lost its measles elimination status. Jacqueline Wilson is covering this story for us. So, Jackie, how did this happen and what does it mean?
Well, in Canada, as you say, we've held that measles elimination status since 1998. But because of an outbreak of cases over the last year, a branch of the World Health Organization has revoked that status. They actually notified the Public Health Agency of Canada of that news today. And so essentially what that means is that here are the rules. You lose that status if the country shows sustained transmission for more than 12 months. So in Canada, there's been more than 5,000 cases in 9 provinces and 1 territory, with actually almost 2,000 of those cases in Alberta. Now, only 2 of those cases are considered active right now. Both are in northern Alberta. There have been concerns that some provincial health authorities, including Alberta's, they didn't do enough when the first cases began to spread. Here's what the Public Health Agency of Canada had to say about getting that status back.
Once the outbreak's declared over, then we will have to work for 12 months to sustain that lack of transmission. And at the end of that 12 months, we have to prove to the Pan American Health Organization that we have no transmission going on and that our surveillance systems, monitoring systems are good enough to prove that we've got no transmission and also show that our immunization coverage is high enough.
And in order to do this, I spoke to one infectious disease specialist today, and he was saying that health authorities need to be so much more proactive than they are doing right now, talking to communities. So they need to be getting out there and bringing the vaccines to people, not just waiting for people to call a line or reach out and get the vaccine. Ian?
Thank you, Jackie. There are emerging signs this flu season may see faster spread and more serious illness. A woman in her 60s from central Alberta has already died from influenza this season. 8 people have required intensive care treatment. Health officials say the data shows a nasty virus circulating in the UK and Australia, which is a warning of what's to come for North America. They also point out the dominant strain of influenza is potentially mismatched with this year's vaccine formula. Infectious disease experts say it's still important to get vaccinated as soon as possible.
So if you want to protect yourself, this is still a very safe, very effective way to do it. Might not be quite as safe as if the match was perfect, but considerably better than getting the influenza virus itself.
The flu shot is available at pharmacies for those aged 5 and older at no cost. A shed fire reignited this morning, and the wind may have been to blame. On Sunday afternoon, plumes of thick black smoke could be seen coming from Meredith Road in the northeast. A shed was significantly damaged, but it's now been destroyed after catching fire again this morning. The fire department says strong winds may have fanned some embers. Officials say the original fire is not considered suspicious, but it's still not clear what caused it. And the wind also a factor in a power outage in Lethbridge this morning. A tree fell on a line in the south side of that city. 2,200 customers were in the dark for a few hours before the power was restored around 10 o'clock. And Danielle, really the wind was the major story today.
Absolutely, and in some cases is at that dangerous level. We have no wind warnings in place for southern Alberta because the winds are calming down, but they're still gusty. Tomorrow will be windy, just less windy than today. So let's look at today and maximum wind gusts. 122 kilometers per hour was the max in Pincher Creek, and we were over that 100 range in Pincher Creek a few times, especially between 11 a.m. and 1 in the afternoon. For us in Calgary at 70 kilometers per hour, we reached around that level in the morning hours at times and even in the afternoon at times. I'm sure you noticed it. Even if you were inside, you heard it blowing against the buildings in the house, and close to 90 kilometers per hour in Lethbridge. So yes, a gusty day. Tomorrow, the far south will drop to about 60 kilometers per hour. For us in Calgary, we'll drop to about 50. So still windy, less windy though. We're at 37 kilometers per hour and we're looking at gusts right now at the airport. All right, your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit fifthavvw.com. And for tomorrow, if you're heading out to any Remembrance Day ceremonies, we're looking at 4 degrees at 8 a.m. And by 11 a.m., we should be up to 9 degrees. The winds will start to pick up, though, by 10, 11 in the morning to 40 kilometers per hour, and then up to 50 in the afternoon. So just be prepared for some wind out there if you're heading out. Ian?
Thanks, Danielle. It was the Battle of the Bots down at TELUS Spark today. It's all part of the Science Centre's Future Engineers Day in partnership with Amazon Canada. The annual free event encourages children to explore tech and science. Children and families took part in robot battles, live demonstrations, coding workshops, and more.
We have different robotics teams that are based in Calgary here doing their robot battles, showing their workshops here, and just a multitude of other activities to really talk about and inspire potentially the future engineers, the future computer scientists, and all that good stuff.
And Amazon's Hercules robots from the company's local fulfillment centers were also on display. They are small but mighty and can lift more than 1,200 pounds across 1 million square feet. Federal cabinet ministers are making their sales pitch to Canadians. Next, the finance minister in Calgary today on what the federal budget could mean for the energy industry. And wasted opportunity, the report that says red tape should be eliminated for small beer, wine, and liquor producers. The federal finance minister was in Calgary today making his pitch for the Liberal budget, which is currently being debated in Parliament. Francois-Philippe Champagne was speaking at an event organized by the Calgary Chamber of Commerce. Champagne is trying to make the case that by pumping money into infrastructure and backing clean energy development, the budget holds good news for Alberta's oil patch and the country.
The fact that the Prime Minister changed the tone to talk about an energy superpower in both clean and conventional energy, I think has really changed how people perceive these things. I think even people I would see at the grocery store, they understand today the nexus between economic security, energy security, and national security.
And this morning in Fredericton, the Prime Minister said the next round of infrastructure projects being funded by the federal government will be announced on Thursday when he visits Prince Rupert, BC. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business is calling for the provinces to ditch the red tape that's holding back Canada's alcohol producers. In a report called Bottled Up, the CFIB says outdated rules continue to hold small craft beer, wine, and liquor producers from reaching new markets, even if that market is a neighboring province. The report says when American liquor was removed from Canadian shelves earlier this year, it opened space that could and should have been filled by small Canadian products. But the CFIB found rigid interprovincial rules and excessive red tape hindered Canadian producers from expanding their markets. The Alberta government says it supports removing the barriers to interprovincial trade. Alberta's cultural and historic sites saw a boom this summer with more than 600,000 visitors. The province says visits rose 7% compared to the previous year. That's partly because more Canadians were taking vacations in Canada due to tensions with the U.S. The province also offered free admission to children and discounts to youth following the federal government's Canada Strong Pass initiative. So, Danielle, a lot of Remembrance Day ceremonies are outside tomorrow, and I think the weather's generally okay for it, perhaps aside from the wind.
Yeah, the wind makes things a little bit difficult, right? A lot of things blow away. There's a lot of stuff on display, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, secure stuff, because it's still going to be gusty tonight at times, gusty tomorrow at times, just not as gusty as what we had this morning and earlier this afternoon. Look at that, Chinook arch. Yep, we have the nice little Chinook pattern set up here, winds out of the west. That's what got our temperatures so warm, but look at that. We talked about this already, 122 kilometers per hour is the maximum wind gust in Pincher Creek. It was on and off above 100K at times throughout the late afternoon or late morning and early afternoon hours, up to 90 in Lethbridge, over 70 in Medicine Hat, and we got to 70 here, Brooks 50, Drumheller 50. So we're looking at about 50 kilometers per hour for Calgary, Drumheller, Brooks. It looks like those winds will start to kick in up to 40 kilometers per hour around 10 a.m. maybe 11 a.m. So it will start to get a little windy as you are heading out to any sort of Remembrance Day ceremonies. Far south, though, they'll be down to 60 kilometers per hour, which is still windy, but better than today. All right, in the double digits still, Calgary at 12, Drumheller, Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Milk River at 11. All these communities, we all got into the teens today for the most part, especially as you head further to the east, thanks to the winds out of the west. That's what got those temperatures up. Now, we have a stateside system, but this will mainly remain stateside. It has been responsible for the winds and that flow out of the west, and there was a little pocket of rainfall that is really starting to make its way out. So we don't really have to worry about the system at all. As you can see by the hour by hour, we're just looking at, I don't know, maybe the occasional cloudy period tomorrow, but it should be mainly sunny. And again, a little gusty at times, but an improvement from today for sure. Okay, and then Wednesday we will have more cloud cover roll in. Looking at that longer range forecast, a couple things to talk about here. For tomorrow, yes, mainly sunny. Again, by about 10 in the morning, the winds will start to pick up 30, even 40 kilometers per hour, those gusts. So as you are off at Remembrance Day ceremonies, you may have to deal with a little bit of wind, and they will certainly get up to about 50 in the afternoon hours. So the afternoon will be a little windier, especially anything after 11 in the morning. 12 degrees is our daytime high. But in the morning, around 8 a.m., it should be around 7-8 degrees. So a nice start to the day because of these westerly winds. 6 degrees for Wednesday, then back up to 14 on Thursday, then back down to 6 on Friday. So a bit of a roller coaster ride with regards to temperatures this week. We'll have some warm days, we'll have some cool days. The winds will start to pick up as another system approaches from the west on Thursday. That will give us the westerly flow again and these gusty conditions. And that's why we'll get back into the teens on Thursday. And then we'll lose that. The system will roll in. We have a chance of getting some mixed precipitation. It should be light, but only a high of 6 by Friday.
Thanks, Danielle. Singer-songwriter Alan Doyle is synonymous with his home province, Newfoundland and Labrador.
So let the sun rise, let the morning bells chime, let them ring out the time of our lives.
But now he's not singing about it, he's writing about his beloved home province. Just ahead, Doyle on hitting the road in a minivan with a teenager. PayPal is the latest latest to get in on the buy now, pay later trend. Joining me is Faisal Karmali, portfolio manager with the Popwich Karmali Advisory Group. And Faisal, how did the markets close today?
Yeah, we saw tech stocks, materials, and gold do very well today. Both North American markets open and doing very well. Even gold up over $100 an ounce.
And PayPal is offering a buy now, pay later arrangement just in time for the holiday season.
Right in time, and in fact, giving a lot of Canadians the opportunity to try it out for no fee, no interest. It's 4 equal payments to be paid over 6 weeks between $30 and $1,500 purchases. Keep in mind, 60% of Canadians have not used the buy now, pay later program. This gives PayPal an opportunity to give a little bit of an appetizer to individuals looking at ways to actually save their cash flow as they go through the holiday season.
And Canada's biggest retirement wave is about to hit. So what will that all mean?
Yeah, by 2030, all of the baby boomers will be 65 years of age or older. This is a big change overall. Demographically speaking, in Canada, 25% of our population will be over the age of 65. And as more and more of that generation decides to leave the workforce, there's going to be a bit of a slack or availability in job opportunities, but they won't be able to fill them because of the immigration cuts here in Canada. So the impact to us would be, well, how do we fill all these jobs and where do we get these people from? Now, in Germany, they have similar problems. They're actually giving incentives for people of retirement age to receive $3,200 per month tax-free to stay in the workforce. Maybe the federal government might do something like that to keep the older generation back in the workforce.
Interesting incentive. Faisal, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
In honor of Remembrance Day, Tim Hortons is offering free coffee to veterans and armed forces members. The company says those who present a valid government-issued veteran service card or a military service ID card can receive a free hot beverage of their choice tomorrow. The promotion applies to all locations across Canada. Tim Hortons' president says it's a gesture of appreciation for their service and sacrifice. CTV Calgary will bring you the Remembrance Day service from the Hangar Flight Museum tomorrow on TV and online beginning at 10:30 a.m. After nearly 3 decades, Canada loses its measles elimination status. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. The country has had more than 5,000 measles cases in the past year. Nearly 2,000 were here in Alberta. Losing the designation could have an impact on Canadians traveling to other countries. Coming up at 6, what you should know before you book your flight. Also ahead, Calgary's newest city council gets a look at the proposed budget. Coming up, we'll have reaction from councillors who are seeing it for the first time. Ian.
Thanks, Tara.
Half of my life I could not see the shore, and the cruel sea was never my friend.
Most Canadians are familiar with Alan Doyle for his music, either as a solo artist or with Great Big Sea. But on occasion, Doyle puts his guitar aside and sticks to the written word. His new book is The Smiling Land, all around the circle in my Newfoundland and Labrador. And joining me from St. John's is Alan Doyle. It's great to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you so very much for having me on.
Now, this book is essentially about a road trip in a minivan with your family, with your wife and your teenage son. How much better was this road trip just because they were with you?
Oh, it was such a great family experience, and our son is 19 now and almost 20. And when we did most of the trips in this book, he was like late 17, early 18 years old. And we figured it was the last time we're probably ever going to convince him to go on a road trip with his mother and father. So we took him along and showed him the Newfoundland that I knew in some parts, but also parts of Newfoundland that I'd never been to. Like, I'd never driven across to the, up to the Northern Peninsula. I'd never driven across the southern part of Labrador and go to Battle Harbour and all that stuff. And it was a really cool trip, both as a family unit, but also as like just for me to remind myself about what I loved about it and to discover what those towns that I had visited in my younger life are still doing. But then for the other ones to find out what goes on, what goes on in a fishing town on the west coast of Newfoundland, after the cod moratorium. Like, what are they doing? Like, what if those towns were all famous for being part of the inshore fishery and that's not going on? What are they doing now?
Alan Doyle's new book is The Smiling Land. To see my extended interview with him, visit ctvnews.ca/Calgary. Next year's Country Thunder is moving from mid-August to late June. The new dates for the festival are June 26th to the 28th at Confluence Park. 2026 will be the 10th year for the event in Calgary, and organizers say the new date will deliver the perfect kickoff to summer. People who already have bought tickets will be able to use them for the new dates or get a full refund if they want by November 24th. The first acts will be announced in early December. Well, the warmer weather continues tomorrow, but so do the strong winds as well. Right now in Calgary, it's 12 degrees. Danielle has details coming up. We're all proud here to wear the poppy, of course, and you've got a very special one that you're wearing right now.
Yeah, the original one, and then Dale dropped this off as a gift, and it's so beautiful. Yeah, so thank you very much, Dale, because I don't know if you can see it on camera. It's really, really nice. And I will wear it tomorrow, absolutely, to the ceremony. So thank you, because his dad was in the military and in the RCMP. So definitely doing a lot for our city and our country. All right, it's 12 degrees right now at the airport. We did get up to 15 degrees today. So as you can see, it's not record-breaking, but when the normal is 3, that's something. For tomorrow, 12 degrees is our daytime high. It will be gusty up to 50 kilometers per hour in the afternoon, but the winds will start to kick in around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning and start to get up to that 40 kilometer per hour mark. So if you are heading to a ceremony, it may be a little windy, but it will be sunny and it will still be warmish. Ian.
Thanks, Danielle. It was lights out and away we go for a group of students from Strathcona Tweedsmuir School in Singapore. The students competed in STEM racing, the new name for F1 in schools. They built a scaled-down race car to compete against teams from 34 countries. It's the first time students from Strathcona Tweedsmuir have competed in STEM racing. The top 3 finishers were from Australia, Germany, and the UK, but the team says just making it to the event is a win.
I think the teams who have been there for a while were a little bit surprised. They were like, wow, you guys, this is your first year ever starting it. Like, you haven't been in developmental class or anything like that. And it's your first time at Worlds, and we're like, yep, so here we are, a little bit underdogs, but yeah, it was cool.
The students plan to share their experiences with the next group entering into the program.
I don't know, maybe we'll just invite some.
Thanks very much for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.